If you have watched the video on the guinea fowls, the little Keats, the first batch that hatched, where there was just the 7 little ones, of which there is none left, you would have noticed that I stay opposite an open patch of veld, where Karoels, my one cat, likes to spend a lot of his time during the day, and that's also where he caught the last little baby, which he brought into the house for me and presented it as a gift. But there is another brood that hatched of about between 12 and 15 little ones. And I find it extremely stressful because guinea fowls are pathetic parents. And the little ones always get separated from the mother. And then they beep, 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 literally the whole day long. I actually even heard one of the little ones scream the whole night through last night. So 5 o'clock this morning, I was up and out to feed them. And the neighbor helped me to catch one because 2 was there at her property, and then there were another 2 down the fence there by her property. I tried to ascertain where they were, but it's very difficult. The sound travels very funny in this area where I stay in. It like echoes and bounces off, and you just cannot determine where sound comes from. I always say that I stay in the Bermuda Triangle of sound. And so I will spend a whole day running in this veld, trying to get mother and babies back together and not being able to find them. But it's working in on me terribly. And then the ducks, they've got their own coop, but they prefer the big chicken's coop. They in there, they can't wait for the door to open and for the big chickens to come out. Chickens, there's only one chicken, one rooster, and then spickles, so that they can go in there. And when I chased them through late afternoon, they went into the chicken coop, and I thought, well, I'm just going to put them into their own coop, otherwise I must sit there for 2 hours watching them playing in the swimming pool. And I must admit I didn't really feel like doing it last night. And when I caught Waddle, he started to pinch me, and he pinched me on my arm, and he almost had me here in my neck. And then that reminded me of when we were young, then you used to kiss your boyfriend, or your boyfriend used to kiss you here in your neck, and if you did a little bit of sucking, then you will make a blue, purple, reddish mark there. We used to call it a hickey. I don't know if hickeys still exist, or if the youngsters still do hickeys. But then you sort of were branded. You branded that guy that everybody knows that he's got a girlfriend, or that girl that everybody knows that she's got a boyfriend, because she's got like a kissing mark in her neck. Oh, the crows are so busy. The crows pick these kids up, and the crow presence at this point in time is huge. Yeah, oh, it's very sad and upsetting for me. I must really try and just sort of cut it off, but it's hard. This video is going to be about an acceptable age difference in a relationship. And there's a reason why I am making this video. It's not a video I would have made in normal circumstances. I am going to use some terminology later on in the video, which I am a little bit uncomfortable to talk about, and I most probably are going to be very awkward when I do start to talk about that, but I do think it is necessary, and it's not like the stuff that I'm going to talk about is not known to us. Maybe to some of us it's not, and you can find it on the internet and on social media, and but I do feel that it is necessary that I do mention it on this video. Now, in our society, it is perfectly fine if the guy is quite a number of years older than the woman. We don't seem to think twice about it if we see a huge age difference. And I do think our film stars and our pop stars has sort of normalized that for us. Also, of course, money. You can achieve a lot with money. Yeah, the power of money, we must not underestimate it. So we will never know if it's love or if it's the fame and the fortune that goes with it. But nevertheless, those age differences, we just look at it in passing. But it's the other way around which we seem to lift our eyebrows to, when the female is quite the older one than the male. And there are a few couples that for now are still successful, where the female is a lot older than the guy, but that the verdict is still out on that, and remains to be seen how long that's going to last. There is a YouTube channel called Love Don't Judge, and this specific video's name was "My Girlfriend is Old Enough to Be My Grandmother." And believe me, she's really old enough to be his grandmother. They got married in the meantime, so it's not his girlfriend anymore, it's his wife. And Cheryl is 61. She's got 7 children of her own, and Kiran is 24. Now, there's a 37-year age gap between the two of them, and he was 16 and she was 50 when they met on TikTok. So TikTok was the place where these two found one another. And if you go and read the comments, a lot of the people are quite outspoken and upset about it, because they are of the opinion that when you're 50 and the other party is 16, that some form of grooming went on there, and you can't really argue that point of view. But this ended up being an 8-year friendship relationship over social media. And I gathered that after 8 years, they decided that they want to meet physically, which they did. And then after 5 months, the two then tied the knot and they got married. Now they've got a friends only channel as well. For those of you that don't know how a friends only channel work on YouTube, that's a paid channel membership, and only those people that pay can go on the channel. And normally the content is of more adult content, of adult nature. And I also watch a program, a YouTube channel called Cinnamon Toast King. His channel is a reaction channel, and he reacted, that's actually where I saw this, he reacted to this couple, Cheryl and Kiran. And when he reacts, his channel is quite harsh. He goes for the most outrageous stuff that he reacts to, and they say it like it is. He calls a spade a spade. Actually, he calls a spade a shovel. And and then they laugh about it. And then you always say, the people say, don't judge, but on this channel we judge. And they do. But in any case, if the people that go on the channel know that that's their angle and that's what they do, and you go on there because you don't mind that and you enjoy the satire. Let's say it's satire. And Cinnamon Toast Ken, I'm only going to call him Ken. He made the comment and he joked and he said he wonders if Kiran knows that it is not supposed to feel like sandpaper. Because the question is whether this guy ever had other girlfriends more his own age, or whether this older woman actually got hold of him before he had the opportunity to actually got into relationships with younger females and to know what it's like and to explore what a relationship with a younger person would be like. But at this point in time, I did not go and look to see how long this happy relationship has been going on since they've got married. They seem to really get along wonderfully, I must say. But a lot can happen, a lot of growing up can happen from 24 to 30. And then maybe he would feel embarrassed that he actually did that. Maybe they will make it last, who knows. Then we have a 90-day fiancé. I'm sure you all know about 90-day fiancé. The specific one is 90-day fiancé the other way. And this is the couple Jenny. She's 55, and Sumit. Sumit is 32. He's from Delhi, India. That's a 23-year age difference. Now, Sumit was married. It was an arranged marriage. He wasn't happy. He lied to Jenny about it. And then when after Jenny actually went over to India, gave everything up, went over to India, and he managed to then get a divorce, and Jenny and Sumit is now married. At this point in time of their story, they have not told Sumit's parents that they married yet. And Sumit's parents cannot stand the sight of Jenny. They, from the beginning, said it's not the right match. She's too old for him. They want grandchildren. That's not going to happen. And I must say, the relationship was very hectic. There was a lot of fighting and disagreements, and since they got married, things have settled down and they actually seem to be quite happy. I must say, they are working their stuff out in spite of that big age difference. But Sumit said that he was shocked when he saw Jenny for the first time. He said in 2011, the camera quality and the internet connections weren't as good as it is now, and that he never saw Jenny really clearly. And he thought that she looked old. He said that he did not expect Jenny to look that old when he saw her for the first time. Then we have 90-day fiancé before the 90 days, and we now with Michael from Nigeria and Angela from the States. Michael is 30 and Angela is 52. Now, Angela, in the beginning of the relationship, asked Michael to stop working. She didn't want him to work anymore. She said that she would keep him financially, she would support him, she will provide everything that he needs. And he actually stopped working. And as this relationship progressed, it has actually evolved into a very, very abusive relationship, which I put 150% in front of Angela's door. She is the most abusive, loud, obnoxious female that you most probably can come across. She used to be quite big, huge boobs, smoke, blonde hair, loud, dirty mouth. And with her increasing internet fame, she then decided that she was going to work out. She lost a ton of weight. She had a boob reduction. And I think she looks good. Michael wasn't in favor of this plastic surgery. He liked her the way that she was. But now I think that her new looks has gone to her head a little bit. And Michael then decided, because apparently Angela, he asked for money for something and Angela refused to give him money. And then he decided that he was going to start an Instagram account, because everybody knows, not everybody, but the people that follow 90 Day Fiancé know about Michael and Angela. So Michael is not completely and totally not known. And he decided that he's then going to now start his own Instagram account so that he can generate some money on social media. And Angela almost flipped. She then booked a ticket to Nigeria. She destroyed the car that she bought for Michael, because now she is trying to force him to take down his Instagram account. If somebody has got financial, economic power over you, your life is a nightmare. Because the control, the financial control goes to their head and they start to manipulate and control you. You do not have a life of your own anymore. You will do what that person say you must do, when that person say you must do it, how you must do it. It is really a horrible situation to be in. I don't really know why Michael actually gave in to give his job up, because he had a good job. And she's extremely abusive. The people are actually starting to ask how long the TV channel is actually still going to allow this to carry on, because it has gone past the point of being entertaining. But Michael said when he saw Angela for the first time, before she had the work done on herself, that Angela looked bigger. That was the word he used. My word would be fatter than what he had expected. And she also looked older in her pictures than what she sent him. So at this point in time, we've got a few internet, social media relationships where the real meeting took place, that the male party was disappointed, that a not so true reflection from the females of what they really look like was presented to the guys. That is just a quick observation. Then we have just 90 Day Fiancé, and this is Mohammed and Danielle. Toxic relationship. It ended up to be a toxic relationship. It was all moonshine and roses, and this turned also into a terrible relationship. Mohammed is 26, he's from Tunisia, and then Danielle is 41. She is also from the States. Arthur's TV actually covered Mohammed and Danielle in detail. And there's a 15-year age difference between these two. Now remember, all these people, except for, I'm not sure if Catan was from a different country, But Jenny and Sumit was from two different countries. In this case, it's America and then some of the more poorer countries. India, Nigeria, and in this case it is Tunisia. So Mohammed was from Tunisia and Danielle from the US. 15-year age difference. They got married. It was just at the point where he was going to get his green card, and their marriage just started to fall apart. Danielle turned into, once again, the person that ends up being the sponsor. Because if you bring somebody from another country to your country, you must sign that you will be the sponsor of that person, which means that that person will stay with you and you will support that person for the full duration of however long the period is going to be, to sort out the documentation, to get all the necessary permits and everything. So you are financially responsible, and then you must send 3 months financial bank statements to the embassy, and there is a minimum monthly salary that you must have before you can bring somebody from another country to your country. So if you only earn in South African, I'm now going to use South African currency, if you only earn 5,000 Rand a month, the prescribed amount, monthly salary a couple of years ago was 17,000 Rand a month that you needed to earn before you can bring somebody to come and stay with you from another country and to then live with you while you sustain that person until a work permit comes through and until the permanent residency has been sorted out. That's a lot of money. Now I think it would be more expensive, and which is strange for South Africa, because we allow all the Zimbabweans and the Nigerians and the Somalians to just come into the country, Malawians. But in any case, I digressed. So Mohammed is from Tunisia, and Danielle became very controlling and very manipulative, because the females in this case ended up being the sponsors. Jenny went to India though, but the others actually ended up being the sponsors. And Mohammed just couldn't stand it anymore. He actually asked for a divorce, and his timing was terrible, because he did it just before his green card was going to come through, and then she started to play that green card to try and control him and manipulate him not to move out, and that she was going to get the marriage annulled. It was a huge unpleasant thing which dragged on for I don't know how long. Mohammed said he was expecting way much better than what he found out when he came to Danielle. At the end of the seasons of these programs like Sister Wives and 90-Day Fiancés, they always have a tell-all, and Mohammed then was asked what was the problem. The people wanted to know what their sexual life, their love life was like, and Mohammed then said that there not much was going on in that department, because apparently Danielle had an offensive odor down there, and that was on the tell-all. It's not me, but I am saying this for a reason, for the same reason that I am making this video. That is important to know. So that was those two. Then we have Kim and Usman. Now Kim and Usman is still on the go. They're also a 90-day fiancé couple. Kim is 51 years of age and Usman is 33. So that is a 18-year age gap. And Usman wants to, is he from Nigeria? I know, I'm not sure from where Usman is. But Usman wants children. His mother wants grandchildren from Usman. And Kim can't do it anymore. Important fact. Life fact. And so now Usman is negotiating to take more than one wife. Kim and Usman is not married yet. But Kim wants to be the first wife. She wants to be the main wife. And then the other wives will just be the childbearing wives. And Usman doesn't seem to see it that way. And finally Kim decided, I don't know if she's going to keep to her guns, because it seems like Usman thinks that he's going to be able to convince Kim that it's going to be fine to be part of a harem, that there will be more than one wife. But Usman doesn't seem to think that there's going to be like a main wife, and they are still trying to sort that out. But Kim said she's nobody's second best. So if there's going to be other wives, then Kim doesn't want to be part of that scenario. But we will still see how that transpires. And then there is a couple that has got nothing to do with nothing, of 90-day fiancé, or 90-day fiancé before the 90 days, or love don't judge, or 90-day fiancé the other way. Jenny and Sumit is 90-day fiancé the other way, which means that the sponsored person actually left their country to go to the other person's country. The more affluent country's person go to the poorer country. And that is Hugh Jackman, which is the Australian actor, and his wife Deborah Lee Furness. Now, Hugh is 54 years old, and I think we all know him. What did he play in? Werewolf. A very, very, very handsome, attractive Australian actor. 54 years, and then his wife is 66 years old, and there's a 12-year age difference, and they got married in 1996, which means that they have been married for 26 years already. Which means that that is a successful marriage, and that they have made their marriage work. And I can tell you, at 66 years, and I always say that aging goes slower. You don't notice much that you age when you become a young, mature adult, and you're in the prime of your life, and you are pretty, and you are young, and you don't really notice that you are getting older until you're, I would say, about 40. Once you've hit your 40s, you start to notice a few things. There are a few crow's feet little wrinkles might creep in, a few frowning wrinkles might creep in. You don't so much have the sagging of the skin yet, but your facial expression markings on your face will become prominent. And then from 45 onwards, the aging seems to accelerate with every year. It's almost as if it works exponentially. So the aging from 66 to 70 is going to be much faster much more noticeable than the aging from 54 to 58, for example. So, in this case, I think that you must really be one of those people that can see past our physical vehicle that we occupy, and that you can really look at the soul, the person inside the physical vehicle. Now I'm going to come back to people that always say, age is just a number. When a person goes into conversation with him regarding these issues. For me, age is just a number. Age is just a number. I agree to a certain extent. I don't think there would be a problem. Say, for instance, I was in a working environment and you are a young male of 25 and we at a company event where all the employees of the company are present, and you sit at my table and we have a nice conversation. So to me, that is where age doesn't really matter. You can have a good conversation. You don't pull your nose up. Oh, I must now sit at that table where the people are all old. They're party poopers. It's now not going to be nice. Going to tell so many jokes or laugh at the same jokes because you are from a different era. And then I do think that age don't matter. But believe me, and you can believe me, that if you haven't been married with that person from when you were young for the whole duration of your married life or your life, and I always say, we were made to choose our partners when we're young. When you have a nice, fresh, undamaged scope herd of people in front of you to choose from. There's lots of them. There's a nice variety to choose from, a wide variety to choose from. Nobody has been engaged or married yet. Some maybe, but most not. And then you have your children, and you bring your children up. Your children leave the house to start leading their own lives. You get the empty nest syndrome, and you're on your own, just you and your husband again, which needs you must now readjust. And it is a readjustment process. I actually said to somebody the other day. And you have grown old with that person. Just like I can't see how old I look for myself or how old I have become. I can, but it won't be such a shock to me as if I now walk into the reunion next year and people that saw me 40 years ago is now going to see me for the first time. So you know that you and your husband has grown old together. But it's not it doesn't have the same impact if you are now like me, for instance. If I'm not married. So for me now, to start dating now, I'm 57. And this is what my group of people now look like, me included. Remember, I always include myself, and older. And there's nothing wrong with our eyes. There's nothing wrong with my eyes. I also think that 20 is beautiful and pretty and gorgeous. Um, I often say to my mother, the girls that carry a little bit more weight in their 20s or their 30s, they don't have a huge floppy tummy dangling in front of them, or these arm bags that older women have. You can see that they are not twiggy skinny, but they are still firm. They carry the weight, but they are still firm. There's a difference between to carry a little bit of weight in your younger days and you will look a certain way, and when you are my age. I always also say that there's a lot of shape shifting going on with age. You can weigh exactly the same, but you don't look the same because your weight redistributes itself. These arms that you get that is hanging there, and the tummy that you get, and the rolls that you get, and this turkey neck that you get, that's these little skins that start to hang here, and the eye flaps that you get that you can't get away from. That is the result of time, muscles that's becoming weaker, and flesh, skin that's losing its firmness. That is reality. That is the reality of the matter. You do not look the same when you are 50 and older than when you are 20, 30 and 40. And I'm going to say again, there's nothing wrong with my eyes. I know that, and I can still see that. Although I think that it is not right that social media is giving our old people a complex about it, because nobody wants to look at an old person's channel. My video, which I titled the pressure that social media put on the naturally aging woman, has got almost no views whatsoever. I would actually think that there's not a problem as far as older women are concerned. And I know there is a problem. I know that we feel self-aware, self-conscious to show our faces and to put ourselves out in the social media realm when we don't look the way that we used to look when we were young. Because in our minds, and there are some sort of a competition and comparison going on, because you're competing for viewers, and you don't have youth and that beauty going for you anymore. So you must work so much harder for your viewership, if I can call it like that. Because you don't have those natural things that people will drool over anymore. You basically are left with your personality only. So for me now to date at 57, because I don't have my husband from that I married when I was 20 anymore, that grew old with me, where the change of our relationship has now gone into just maybe a relationship of being companions, of being friends, and that it's not so physically based anymore. It's very hard for me, because it's hard for me to find, to find somebody attractive now. So now, at my age, you must now start to concentrate on the personality, which actually means that you should never put too much emphasis on the outer beauty, the physical beauty, and not work on the personality. Because in the end, we all, because I always say, Father Time robs us all from our physical outer beauty. In the end, we all have an even playing field. We all are left and sit with our personalities only. That's that's the only thing that we can now depend on is your personality. You can't fall back on good looks or a sexy body anymore. It is just your personality that you are left with. But now I'm going to get to the uncomfortable part of the video, where, and I often, when I speak to my sister about it, which I don't quite understand why we were made that way, that men still have a good libido, sexual drive, when they are old. Some men can start to have some erection problems, issues, but if they don't have that, then they can carry on till the day that they die, it seems, which maybe explain why the men that's got the money, the famous men, then can actually get these young girls and keep them satisfied. But unfortunately, the flip side of the coin is not true. It can be true for a very small percentage of us women. It is true, but for a very small percentage of us women. But the majority of us, I think, experience the same thing. Otherwise, it would not have been on Google and on YouTube and all the places where you can go and read up and listen to what they say about this. So this is webmd.com, and they say the following, and I'm going to read it, then it might be less awkward. The loss of estrogen and testosterone following menopause. Now, menopause is change of life. Woman goes through menopause with specific physical things that happen to their body. We always say that men also go through menopause, but that's more like a midlife crisis. But men doesn't have those physical things that happen to their body as women have, because we are the ones that carry a baby. We get pregnant. We are the ones that carry the baby and give birth to the baby. We are the ones that have a monthly period. Men doesn't. So this is what happens to women. And that leads, because of the hormonal changes, to very obvious changes in the woman's body, which includes the sex drive. Because now, if you stop having your period, which is what happens when you go through menopause, you can't have children anymore. And I think that's also a reason why it is good to stay with your first chosen partner you've got married to, and that you don't find yourself in this precarious position I find myself in at the moment, where things work for a specific period of your life when you are supposed to have your children in your younger lives and to bring your children up, and then they leave home. So you are supposed to make children and have babies in the earliest part of your adulthood. And then when your children has left the house and you are in your senior years, you're not supposed now to have babies, because you're not going to be on this planet to bring them up and see them out to into adulthood, because you might die. You're going to die before that happens. So we were made then to not being able to have children, not to have a sex drive, because the sex drive is basically there for making children. So now that you don't need to have children, and you're not supposed to have children, you're not supposed to make any more babies, your period stops and your sex drive goes with it. Most of us. Some's lucky. Apparently this Cheryl that's with Kiran is apparently very lucky. But unfortunately for most of us, that's not the case. Menopausal and postmenopausal women may notice that they are not as easily aroused, number one, less sensitive to touching, number two, less sensitive to stroking, number three, and this can lead to less interest in sex. Take note. So what on earth do you want to come and do with an old woman that's gone through menopause, that is in that stage of her life, when you are a virile, is that the right pronunciation? When you are a young, fit man in the prime of his life with a very high sex drive that needs to be satisfied, with the desire to marry somebody and then start a family with that person, to have children of your own, especially if you're a man, to carry your name on, your legacy on. You're going to have none of that. You are going to have none of that if you now want to come and waste precious time and your life away on an old person of 57 years old. Think about it. Just take a minute to think about it. Then they say, oh, there's ways and there's ways and means around that. No, there's no way and there's no means around it. That is the reality of the matter. The lower levels of estrogen can cause a drop in the blood supply to the vagina, which has got a whole lot of other things happening, which you can't sort out with stuff. This can affect the vaginal lubrication. That's why Cinnamon Toast King made the joke and asked whether Kiran knows that it should not feel like sandpaper. It is common knowledge. Maybe if you are an older person, because Ken, I think, is in his late 30s, maybe, I think. I'm not sure, but he's not in his early 20s. So most men are aware of that is what's happening, and that makes that makes having intercourse uncomfortable. That makes it unpleasant. That makes it painful. No matter how much you as the partner of the opposite sex would like to convince the older woman that's gone through menopause that I'm just going to do this and I'm just going to do that and everything is going to be hanky-dory. It's not going to. Don't give yourself so much credit. It's got nothing to do with how good you are or your technique or how hot you think you are. It's got nothing to do with that. What it's got to do with is the biology of the female body and aging. That is what it has to do with. So that's this article says, causing the vagina to be too dry for comfortable sex, and also the vaginal walls thin. It becomes thin. It can make little tears, which will then make little sores, which will make it painful with a burning sensation. Are you such a sadist that you would not care if you have intercourse and it is burning and painful and unpleasant for your female partner? And now you are with somebody that can't even have it once a year, and you don't even only want it once a day, you want it 3 times a day. How on earth can you think that is something that I must now want to experiment with? Or don't you just want to try? No, I don't want to try because I know there's nothing to try. I'm not 20 anymore. I am 57. I've been through life. I know these things. And an experiment is not going to change that. It's also not a compliment for me if you are 20 or 25 and you want to now be in a relationship with me because you want to leave your country. I think being 57, being with a guy that is so much younger than me, is just going to make me feel so much older than what I already feel. It is just going to emphasize the fact that I am not in my 20s anymore and giving me more hang-ups with the aging process and what I look like. Now I walk with this young guy in the street or going to the beach, and I can see that he's eyeing all the young girls in his age group. And here I look like everything is not look like. Here I am, and everything is roly-poly and sagging. I can't blame him, but what a stupid decision to make. Why on earth would I allow myself to get myself into that situation that is just going to cause me such a huge amount of extra stress? I'm in a place in my life at this point in time where I have peace. There's great peace in my life. I actually enjoy being alone. And I don't really have a huge desire for company. I won't say that by some great fluke I meet somebody interesting, but it is going to have to be very interesting. I don't know. I just don't see myself like that anymore. I just don't. I think that that's a part of my life which for me is over. I've done it, and it's there. I don't see that as part of my future. Oh, and then there's other factors that also happens when you've been through menopause, like bladder control problems. If you laugh a little bit too loud, you might have a little bit of urine leaking out. So now you must maybe use pads for incontinence every day. How sexy would you find that if you are in your middle 20s? Just by the way. Or like this, what was his name? Mohammed, that Daniel had some odor issues down there, and how that impacted their sexual life. There's sleep disturbances because you get hot flushes. It's really not romantic. Aging and going through menopause and being in the golden years of your life is not romantic. That's why I always say to the young folk, appreciate your youth and the stage of life that you are in. Stop finding fault with everything and look at yourself in the mirror and just see how beautiful and young you are, and embrace that, because you're the youngest and the prettiest today than what you will ever be, because tomorrow you're a day older and a day closer to old age. And if you're a woman, especially with all the things that happen with a woman. So that is the reality of the situation. And it's a fool to think otherwise. There's nothing you can do to make you be young again. The other thing is your energy runs out. I haven't even touched on that. Your energy runs out. You can't keep up, because that's a fact of life. If I see what I can now do in the garden, what I used to be able to do in the garden, what I can pick up, what I can't even move now, your strength goes. There's so many things that happens. And then some people, fortunately, that didn't happen to me, but with some women, they can then become depressed and anxious because I suppose you mourn the loss of youth and empty nest syndrome, and you can go through that as well. Thank goodness I was spared that. And I think that is wrapping this video up, which I thought that I had to make. It might be relevant for some, completely irrelevant for others. Like I said, you can do the math why I made the video. If you add 2 with 2 and you get to 4, then you're on the dot. Otherwise, good for you if you got 5. And on that note, I am going to say goodbye for now and look after yourself.